Hey folks, this is Rebel Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tornado tank is here. And like the Tom polishing up painted.
Oh God, yeah, last week was tough. Tough for me.
uh,
I did not win a single UFC bet. I made a lot of them. Well, actually, I did in the early card. I think I won $83, but I fucking chased all night and tried to guess which round the knockout was going to be in the main event, especially. And I even picked one parlay. I picked freaking Marlon Vera by submission in the fourth round. Looking back, I'm like, what a dumb move that was, because it was a 5 round affair and I went the distance, and I should have taken more stock in the fact that Marlon Vera has never even been knocked down, and even taken the beating that he did in this fight, which wasn't like legendary beating, but it was pretty severe. By the end of it, he was pretty beat up, but he only went to a knee once. So tough son of a bitch with a fucking hell of a chin, and he took a knee from hell at one point and just walked through it and kept going. So it was a very entertaining fight. Just nothing I saw on my own crystal ball. I did, because it was tactical. And Sean O'Malley, as much as I was rooting against him in a lot of ways, because I thought Vera was going to win that fight, I thought to myself, there is no better story of self belief than this kid. The power of self belief.
yeah,
I said it last time when he beat Aljamain Sterling. He just believes in himself, and he's obviously been doing the work, and he's fully healthy. Didn't have the issue going into this that he had, forcing him to get the knockout early in the last one. And really, he's basically looking like a guy who can lock down that belt for a little bit of time there. And he's already talking about going after this
I know.
weight class
Yeah,
above.
like gorgeous man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I wasn't concerned. Always the first starter. And I thought, well, he's going to process, and then the second round, he'll crank it up. And after the second round, I knew he was in this because he was going to have to win the next three. I thought, okay, the third round is going to be do or die. And it's more of the same. And even when he rallied in the fourth round, it still had O'Malley. And then in the corner, when you start saying stuff like, come on, we'll change your life. You're a warrior. At that
Yeah.
point, and I think for Gorilla, I'd say the same thing. But into that,
Yeah.
like, God, I didn't even think it was Tito that bad. You just think McNally, Old Alley, just was get on it.
Right.
I mean, we to give him the credit for it. I mean, Tito gave us everything. Boy, I don't want to see a third place.
Yeah, I thought that O'Malley fought a very smart fight. He wasn't pushing for the knockout. He actually was told not to go for the knockout by his corner. I don't know if you noticed that before the fifth round. His corner told him, "Don't even worry about the knockout."
Why change the coach?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
So
didn't even start off prejudging
yeah,
that ain't on it.
yeah, it was pretty unexpected. I just thought it was entertaining because, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people thought, especially me with all the fans that were there for Vera, I didn't think O'Malley's fan base would get there too, but he didn't seem phased by it at all. He looked a little bit kind of, like different on the way to the cage than he did in Boston, but I don't think it affected his performance at all. I think basically he just fought his fight and showed how much he's changed since the last fight. And even looking back, like hindsight being 2020, how fucking stupid can I be to not realize that he's still trying to go for a boxing match? Why does he want to take it to the ground? Why does he want to knock the guy out? And he hates Marlon Vera, hates him with passion. So why not just take him deep and beat the hell out of him, embarrass the shit out of him in front of all his fans over the course of 5 rounds, rather than make it quick and easy for Vera. He wanted to wipe the mat with his blood, basically, and he basically just fought a very smart fight. I think he took 2 or 3 shots that wobbled him, but he got right out and back into his range, and all around, he just fought a very technical, smart fight. He had good grappling, good striking, um, and even leg kicks. He was doing leg kicks pretty well.
Yeah, and again, the way to avoid leg. I mean, it's like
Yep.
a
Right.
not that's the thing. O'Malley was saying he wants to move in that division. You think Green
Yeah.
they had a full of that? You know, your division.
Yeah. Yeah.
Featherweight, finish them full. And it's the same thing I'd say to O'Malley.
Right.
He still has, that 135 division is stacked, but he's talking about jumping up. I mean, I think that whole thing should be discouraged.
Yeah. I mean, it's like he's such a superstar now, especially with this win, defending his belt. He's gone from superstar overnight, really, considering how fast he's risen through the ranks. And he thinks like the next step up is to be a 2 belt champion. That's the only way to go. That's how to be a superstar. And
And
they're
now
all
he's
getting
got
that
this
mentality.
training part coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
No, 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 no. Right. Well, Sean definitely continues to surprise me, but I was really hoping for the knockout because I did have Dustin Poirier in a parlay on the second round knockout, which was really high on it. So I should have just bet that alone. But I put it in a parlay and did not complete it. But man, that was looking good. Benoit St. Denis put up a heck of a fight. Did really well in the first round. Kind of tenderized Poirier. You thought maybe the end might be near. But Poirier did seem to be pretty overconfident in the submission. Kept going for the guillotine, kept ending up in trouble, but he fought his way out of it. Being the veteran that he did. Yeah. He still tries it. Yeah. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna keep doing it.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And boy, St. Denis can knock people out too. And he got so overconfident. He walked in there with both hands by his side. And boy, that's
you know,
clinic and bad defense.
normal. You know,
Right.
you just come in with no defense at all. And I mean, it's
Right.
really the first round, but all of a sudden, bum rushing works till it doesn't.
Right. And then we had Michael Page and Kevin Holland, which was an interesting matchup. I thought Holland had so much experience over Page that he was going to take it by knockout or decision, but I also hedged my bet and had Page by knockout or decision as well. I think that was on one of the parlays that I won, the little one. But yeah, Michael Page looks pretty decent. He definitely knows his range. He knows what he's doing in there. He can grapple a little bit when he has to. And he seems like he's been, getting a little bit more well-rounded since those few times where he got beat in Bellator.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
you switch stances and well,
right.
he makes it work. So he's going to be a problem, for sure.
Yeah, especially if he keeps trying to get that spinning back elbow going. Boy, that worked wonders for John Jones for years, and he's the
Yeah,
next best attempter at those. The tough
and
tough to
he had
time.
great moments, but he just seems lacking there.
Yeah,
It's like a day late and a dollar short. He's so close, but
yeah.
you know,
And then, kind of a surprise to me, Jack Della Maddalena. I did think he was going to win by knockout, but I didn't think. I thought Gilbert Burns would get a submission um, and kind of wear him down, but no, that ended in a knee and elbows. 3 minutes and 43 seconds into the third, and then a really boring Peter Yan versus Yadong Song matchup, except for kind of turned the other way towards the middle of the second round, and
yeah,
Yadong
I
Song
had
got drowned in
John
deep water.
losing the first round. The dong song, what a name.
Yeah,
But but what I tell you, John had to win that fight. He had to win that fight.
yeah.
If he'd have lost, he'd have been cut, and that would have been devastating for him. So maybe he had some ring rust on him, but maybe he's back.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked like he's been through the ringer with his training partners and was well prepared for this one. And he did a lot more striking than I thought he would. Did his fair share of wrestling too, but just got a lot of it done on the feet, just establishing his dominance with the punches especially. And then I had the wrong upset of the week. I said it was going to be Parisian, but that was before I actually heard that the Spain was like a freaking black belt in judo or some shit, and or Olympian or some crazy stuff. But anyway, this one happened later. Another heavyweight fight was earlier in the card. This one, Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida. Almeida had been mowing
What
through
a
people.
fight!
Blades, he pulled a move like Ronda Rousey's husband back in the day when he used to fight in the MMA.
Yeah, good
UFC.
analogy there. Very good analogy.
He used to do the Travis Brown, right? He used to do the
Yeah,
elbows
Travis Scott.
to the side of the temple, while the guy was trying to shoot in for a takedown.
Yeah,
Blades did the same thing with
if
punches.
you would shoot in on him, you better get that takedown, or
Yeah,
you're going to pay. And that's what happened
and
Saturday.
and I know it's not really an upset because Blades was the favorite. He ended up being the favorite, but Almeida was just on such a roll. I did not expect that to go the way it did,
And
and
and he was dominating the first round. It was a miracle Blade got out of the first round, I thought.
yeah,
Man, I mean,
yeah.
it's heavyweights. Hey, doesn't take much.
Yeah, and a very predictable decision for Macy Barber. Had that one pretty much across the board, right? Against Caitlin Shermanara. She did come close to getting the knockout, but again, she fought her fight. Didn't want to take many risks, and she got that done. Number two, Scamrot. I figured he'd get the knockout over Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos actually looked pretty decent early, but then kind of faded late. Um, but that went back and forth for a little bit of the fight, and then Gamrot just took over as predicted. Kyler Phillips kind of looks pretty decent in his matchup against Pedro Munoz. Won that by unanimous decision. Munoz just he's definitely getting stagnant in that weight class. I don't really see him doing much against anybody else, but he's probably going to at least work through his contract and then probably end up bare knuckle boxing for all we know. I don't know. Go through the PFL. Philippe Lins beat Iwan Cutelaba by unanimous decision. That one was a little bit shaky late for him. He did get gassed a little bit in that fight, but Cutelaba really didn't challenge him too much. And he ended up winning that one. Michael Pereira made very quick work of Michael Olszuk, who had a lot of first round finishes going in, but did not do anything in the first round but lose by rear naked choke. Pereira is just phenomenal looking these days. And speaking of phenomenal looking, this guy, a heavyweight to remember, Robelis de Spain. fighting Josh Parisian. Took 18 seconds to knock the dude out. I thought it was just a freak show thing. They brought him out of the feeder leagues. He was just a one-shot wonder because he fought a bunch of guys who were 0-1. But Parisian, he's no world beater, but I mean, he's got the experience, and he just got tornadoed, Tony.
Hey, don't use my name.
This guy, oh my God, the Spain. I mean, he should be a heavyweight boxer with that kind of aggression. He'd probably do just as well as he does in MMA. It's early, we don't really know how he can do past the round, if he gets past the round, but man, the guy can hit, and he is intimidating looking for that weight. He is so cut and just a giant dude. Um, Almost like you expect him to be uh, like of another freaking from another planet or something. Dude, it's just jacked up. Anyway, he made quick work of Josh Parisian, and he's going to do good things in the heavyweight division. I don't know, how far they're going to take him up for the next fight, but yeah, I see him competing with anybody in that division right now. And you don't want to get caught early by that dude. And then Asu Ambayev in the second fight of the night at catchweight, beating CJ Vergara by unanimous decision. And of course, it always hits nice when you lose your first prediction of the night. Even though it was by split decision, I thought Marina Moroz would do either a submission or a decision, get a win. And Joanne Wood, talk about turning the fight around a little bit like Peter Yan. Joanne Wood just, got back to the basics and outslugged her towards the end of the fight and ended up convincing a couple of the judges. Retired after the fight. And Bruce Buffer called her Joanne Calderwood. I don't know if you noticed that, but she's married to a guy named John Wood. Her original, uh, you know, maiden name is Calderwood. So it was funny because he's reading the decision, and he called her Calderwood when he was reading one of the numbers, and then when he announced the victory, he said for Joanne Wood, but it's funny he had to catch himself. But yeah, married to her coach, and it paid off. She goes out with a bang, a nice win. So that's it for that. We're gonna get back to the biggest main event of the weekend, basically. Tibura versus Tuivasa, another heavyweight matchup. Um, After we talk about some boxing, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul have been flooding the airwaves this week with all kinds of shit. And I don't fucking buy it. I'm sorry, but this stupid rivalry they're trying to start with each other, it sounds staged already. I hate it. Um, Mike Tyson said he's going for the dude's head. Supposedly they're trying to set it up as a legit boxing match, not an exhibition, no headgear. Uh, and,
I've heard conflicting reports.
yeah.
The one I heard was 18-ounce gloves and the headgear, which, that makes basically like a spark. Now, when Mike Tyson Roy Jones played a couple years ago, it wasn't, hey, it was a good watch. It was kind of cool. What I think really hurt the marquee was that there was no spectators allowed. So it was like you were watching like two guys in a gym almost. You didn't have that electricity of the crowd. I bought it just because it was, hey, it was cool to do. Two guys I grew up watching, but the action wasn't really there. Now, here, what can you expect? I was talking to my friend Mike tonight, and I'm going to get into a tangent in a second regarding the live attendance. So, Mike says, what do you think on this? I said, well, when Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones, he said, what was it, like a gentleman's agreement going in, like, oh, you have it, there's some, I don't, a lot going on, but it's really good damn one. And Roy also being, you know, he was 50 years old, trying to one. Well, he was like I'm not a natural heavyweight. Like, I'm going out there pretty much just to survive, get a paycheck. Like Tyson, get in the ring, do my Tyson, and give the fans a show. I think you're going to get see a little bit different here because now you have somebody who really wants to make a name for himself. Somebody who's really been the best way, to set up your battle. They, they just name like granted, he's 57 years old, but he's still like
Yeah.
Tyson. People were going to say, I did whatever. I fought Mike Tyson. I did whatever to Mike Tyson. I dropped Mike Tyson. I made Mike Tyson quit. So I think they both going to come out there to,
Yeah.
that could be, that could be like walking the time over a den of ravaging life. And one slip up, and then you're lying to me.
Yeah. Well, case in point, Mike Tyson visited the locker room of Dustin Poirier before his knockout. And the other, well, it hasn't been a super success, but it's been better than people thought it would be. His work with Ngannou obviously didn't pay off last weekend, but I mean, considering
Oh,
how other people have done trying to go into boxing, Ngannou's done all right for somebody with no experience at that level. Um, but yeah, I just don't buy this that he doesn't like Jake. He wants to, stop him from doing what he's doing and stop embarrassing boxing. And he's just like, going overboard with the hype. And I know all fighters
yeah,
do it to sell fights,
it may be just an exhibition, like we see with Roy Jones Jr.
probably. But Jake Paul's not stupid. He knows what's going to sell. And but I would be very surprised if Texas approves that as a legitimate no headgear fight.
Right.
Like,
Well, they can't have it. There's that or nothing. Who's going to pay for headgear and 16-ounce gloves and 2-minute rounds and, like touch boxing, sparring or so? Who's going to pay for that?
well, I'm pretty sure
You
they can
know,
do it without headgear and not have it be a sanctioned fight. Like, could be still be an exhibition. They just put it in the contract to agree to not have headgear. But I don't know. I'm
you
not.
know,
I'm not 100%.
so I was talking to my friend Mike tonight, talking to a school friend of mine. Hey, he's talking about going out. What? Him and his friend called. Now, his friend is right? But soon as he, and when you meet him, like, have you in him, like this, just human being. I met him. He was great. So, like,
Mhm.
you know, the next time I met him, and I'm like, oh my God, so soft, so quiet and shy. And we're together one night, and I was telling him, boxing stories and one of my friends, I met, I was like, no, wait, I'm really interested in hearing. I'm like, is this the same guy that went to a bar and then thrown out? He's so loud and like, so that's Steve, so like, this, oh, God, I couldn't start throwing out. Such a the fifth time I'm volunteering yet.
Yeah.
So everything you look at right now, ticket prices, you are looking at brokers and like SeatGeek and all that, and people are basically selling tickets that are not available yet. When you look at anytime there's a big event,
Yeah.
whether playoff games for basketball, baseball, football, or a big match. So like right now, if I go to look at the Canelo fight, and so kind of looking around there tonight, and you might see, hey, you got all these tickets on whatever. The tickets haven't gone on finish. How are they available? Well,
Yeah.
no. That would be because it's going to be legitimate? That I don't know because I never do a pre-tailing. If I do a pre-tail, it's going to be through the arena or Ticketman.
Yeah.
Let me go through a blog, which is really good. Um, so, yeah, like, of course these prices are going to be high because these are tickets that are not even out there yet.
Mm.
You know, what do you hear an official announcement saying, yeah, tickets are on sale? And you might want to jump on AT&T Arena. You can buy them right through there, or Ticketmaster. Don't just jump on any random website.
Mhm.
You know, careful.
Good advice.
But yeah, those two, you know, I call them buffoons, which is the perfect way to goof on a buffoon. Or, hey, you want to go? No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Stay away
This is
from
like,
that
don't
trouble.
tell me those two guys that saw at the Canelo after Danny Jacobs fight a couple years ago that were double fisting 12-ounce Miller Lite cans at a price that cost me $16 each. Every 3 rounds they were coming back. I'm like, that's another $32 right there between them.
Yeah.
Each guy.
Oh.
Like that, $64 right there between the two of them.
Oh.
You know, that's another. You look at the end of that fight, and all the plastic cups that were there, they weren't even getting cans, they were just pouring in the cup. I'm like, oh my god. Like these guys had to drop 250 to 300 each just on.
Forget about it.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Canelo. Now Canelo is official is fighting Jaime Munguia. Now, I did want to see him fight the other Carlo brother, but I think Munguia is going to be a big fight. So when we had the Charlo fight in September, soon as Canelo landed a couple punches on the arm, Charlo was like, you know what, going into a turtle shell. And my goal was now to like Rocky said, all I want to do is go the distance. You know, yeah, I can't beat him. All I want to do is go the distance. Um, and that fight became very dreadful because it was basically one guy trying to beat and one guy trying not to happen. Don't you think it would have been the same with the other brother? Don't you think? Probably. Probably. Um, you know, sometimes you get one that, and these two I have such a hard time telling them apart because one, they look so much alike, and two, their names are one letter different.
Mm.
um, but I think Mundine is going to be better, and because I mean, he's 43 and up.
Mm.
I mean, he's no slouch out, and he's got some good fighters, and he an exciting, and I think he's going to match up. I think a stylistic matchup between Longina and Canelo is going to be very interesting to watch. Longina likes to put a lot of pressure on. Canelo has developed in a complete trigger, especially over his career, and he's become a very good counterpuncher. So Canelo kind of set the accent, but I think anymore, even his fights that are even better are the ones where he is counter, counterpunching.
Yeah.
And and they both have good chins. So I think it's going to be a good fight. You know what fight? First fights are thought of when these two get matched up. Now, obviously, the fight I'm about to mention is not on the level of Jaime Munguia, but it was when Canelo fought James Kirkle back in I think it was 2015. It was a week after the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, which was dreadful, and then you had this 3 round salute. You know, not in the nation. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't on the level of high difference, but it was action. And Kirkle came out hoping now like Florence Gordon. And those two went at it for 3 rounds, and that was a great fight. I got maybe not that level of action, but Monkina causing Canelo to fight like that. Styles make fights, buddy. Styles make fights. I mean, you got to go with Canelo in this one, but I'll be watching. Put it that way. Whereas if it would have been the twin, I wouldn't have even wanted to watch.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at going out just because I want to go to Vegas again, and you know, the last years it didn't work out. 2020 was thrown in, 2021 where they had to fight in San Antonio because of less restrictions on custody. And then you had 2022, I forget, from Lakers postponed camp or smack. And then 23, I'm like, all right, I'm going to this one. I'm going to this one. Definitely, it seems a lot harder next. No, I'm not going to this one. So, now I want to go to back tomorrow. I've been looking at flights the last few days. I was looking at tonight, tickets, and, know, I wrote something a few months ago, and I'm sure I said it on the air. Sometimes, like, there's a curveball, right? And I came up with a philosophy last year, and it was ironic that I said it a month before an event happened. I believe memories are more important than money. I'm not saying go out there and just throw money down the drain and piss it away. Be smart. Look through yourself. I'm gonna segue this into something else a little bit later. The tornado is a lot. That's been nothing long. I worked this right on New Year's Eve, and I said I did a lot of things in 2023. Really enjoyed, and I said some of them cost me a little bit of money, not much, not nothing astronomical. They made the memories, made it all worth it. And one of the events I took about actually happened in 2022, and that was when all weather came. And I went to go. I knew it was going to cost, not much, but it was a day. It took most of the day to get down there and get in line and do all that. That's a little bit of money to do. And I was going. Imagine if I said money was more important than that memory. And now I get to do it. Yeah. So that's why I believe memories are more important than money. Um, so if I get a chance to go out to Vegas for this one, I'm absolutely doing it. Especially, my dad's still getting over shoulder surgery. Um, but he's well enough to go. He's going.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
He's doing so, you know? So I mean, also, I know Rich, I think, saw it on social media, and I'll have to send you the photos. So last week, there was an event coming up about 20 minutes from my house, 25, and I was going to go. It was with men. They have a big art show every year. One year they had it in the same venue we went to that trade a couple years ago,
Oh yeah.
and now they moved it about 20 minutes up the road. And I said, each year I try to meet at least two people. First year was Brandon Graham from the Eagles, and I got to have lunch with him a few weeks later. And I met another big Australian lefty school, like 6'8" and 370, just because he's that big. Yeah. So, and then last year I went and I met the one Eagles tight end that actually does some boxing training with a kid, Sonny Conto, out of Philadelphia, that does some training at my gym, my old gym.
Yeah.
So I had to go meet him. And I said to him, Dallas Goddard, I said, Dallas, we were at the same Sonny Conto fight a year ago. We sat on opposite sides of the ring. And I got to talk to him a little bit, which is cool. So this year, said, okay, they got members of the 2017 Eagles Super Bowl team that are going to be there. And I have to go. I have to meet Nick Foles. Yeah. He's going to be there. He's a Super Bowl MVP. I have to meet him. So I signed up for it. And then I had to meet Dick Vermeil, who was the coach when I was born. And I had to tell him that his first game, them losing to Dallas, put my mom in early labor. And then, yeah, because I was supposed to be born September 29th.
Yeah, I remember you telling that story, but that's funny you get to tell the coach that.
Yeah, and it was born September 29th, or I was due September 29th. And the Eagles' first game that year was Sunday, September 12th. And they showed it in the movie Invincible because that was the debut game of Dick Vermeil as the coach and Vince Papale as the player. And they lose in Dallas by like 3 touchdowns. Pretty bad. They get their ass. Yeah. And I said to my mom, Mom, when did you go into labor? She goes, about 4 o'clock. I said, I don't know, right after the Eagles lost to Dallas. Mm-hmm. Kind of poetic, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, I had to meet Dick Vermeil. Yeah. But I got there early enough. My errands got there early enough that I was able to get to the Doug Peterson line. And he was their coach in 2017. She only coached ever won.
I don't remember that year. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, no, you don't. That lobster was pretty good though, Rich.
Yeah, I know.
So I go and I get in the Doug Peterson line. I go up to him and I know the joke I say to him was that my friend's bakery, because of the bakery, Doug Peterson was on their wall of fame. And my picture on the wall of fame is right next to him. I said, "This is my Collegeville Bakery Wall of Fame neighbor." He laughed and he was nice enough. Well, me in my stupidity, I walked out the wrong photo exit.
Uh,
That was your supposed to go out this way. I went out the left. Now, standing there was the guy uh, all that publicity with the Eagles a few months ago, the security guard, Big Dom,
yeah.
the one that got
And the Lokio dude. Yeah. No, you told me that. Saw that.
guy that got thrown out because he had an altercation with a couple of 49ers during the game.
Yeah.
And he was friends with Andy Reid, so he was also Super Bowl against the Niners. The two players that he had words with was perfect game. He was just running on the field.
Yeah.
So I looked at Big Dom, and I seen him, and I went out the wrong way. He's like, "Hey man, how you doing? Can I get a photo?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And his name is appropriate. He's a rather large human being.
Uh-huh.
And so I say to him, because he's Italian, I said, "Did you put your hands up?" It's like the old Italian code. I put some Malacchio, rely on the Niners that game. It's photo. I send it to him bakery. He looks off. Did you bring it here afterwards? But Steve, you can't get this. Right? So I'm just hanging out, I'm taking other photos and I'm meeting people. And I'm talking to this one girl that was there because we were in the same line for each person.
Yeah.
So you going to meet Nick Bolt? So am I. How are you going to meet John Duff? So am I. We have time to kill. We'll wait for the photo. And I could think about all the bakery because I've never been there. It's only 10 minutes away. You really should go. Going afterwards if you want to go. I'll meet you there. And that way you can sit down. That way you're not walking in there by yourself. And I'm joking with her. I said, "Oh my God, my friend texted me from Dom said, really? They thought I was going to beat him so bad." Not there. You go get up to the bakery. We walk in. I said, "Oh, there's Steve sitting down." Here's the chicken with Big Dom.
Nice.
Here's how it worked. Here's how it worked. Because I went out the wrong exit. We got a picture of Big Dom. I sent it to Steve. Steve, knowing he was only 10 minutes away, called a mutual friend in a Philadelphia band or music group of recording artists or something. Somebody I've never heard of. Mutual friend. He goes, "Yo, can you call Big Dom and invite him to the bakery?"
Yeah.
Lo and behold, there's Big Dom. My friend said to me, "Oh, what did he eat?" Menu. Everything.
Yeah.
So we had a big chicken cutlet sandwich. He had the one pizza, and we're just sitting there. We had England, right? So now, as we're sitting there talking to him, and he turns over and goes, "I want you to be the PTOLE of the day." And he looks at me, "Well, it's a big honor." And he goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, 'cause I'm a former PTOLE of the day. That's why I'm saying it." You're going to be on the wall of fame right next to me. Um, all because I went out the wrong exit.
Nice. Nice.
And all because I got there early because memories are more important than money.
Yeah. Nice. Good story. Well, on that note, we're all going to take a trip to see Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Hey,
No, that wouldn't be the memory I'd be looking for. I'd rather go to like
well, it is going to be in Dallas. I don't know if I'm allowed to down there.
yeah, I don't like Dallas either. Uh, I'd rather go to like a Fury versus Usyk fight or a
Yeah.
you know,
Canelo versus Longina.
yeah, or Canelo versus Crawford if it ever gets made.
Yeah.
Uh, something on that level where you don't know who's going to win, and it could go either way, and there's guaranteed not to be scripted action.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's a pretty good story, and yeah, we definitely have to plan some kind of a trip to all go to a fight together one of these days, because that's definitely the memory we're missing.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen Tom in person yet. You've already met him. Yeah. Only through the crystal ball connection. I
There you go.
polish off mine every now and then and get things right, but usually I'm wrong. Prediction. Anyway, that's great. So we got some results to talk about. I just mentioned it. Francis Ngannou going down to Anthony Joshua, and I only caught the end of it. Almost right after it happened, they were already circulating video, and it was
Yeah.
pretty brutal, pretty bad
Yeah,
for
there was a
Francis.
suicide video that came out within like almost seconds. You know, I had actually forgotten that it was in Saudi Arabia and it was going to be in the mid-afternoon.
Yeah, me too.
It really had my attention the Joseph Parker fight with
Yeah,
and I think it was a pretty good fight. It was at first it was like a lull in the action, you know. And Banks with two knockouts and didn't Parker out one. I think the thing was a majority decision. Majority or split. Parker won. He won 8 rounds four, but the two knockouts made it closer.
yeah,
I looked at him and I'm like, drive up there. I was like, I needed wasn't knocked down the first time. I'm like, Parker's down. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then following it, and then it was, hey, the main event in the ring. They got it down. Shit.
yeah,
They got it down again, and he looked hurt. They got it down. Oh, they got an oxygen mask on him. I'm like, yeah. And you know, a lot of the consensus was this is what should have happened when McGregor fought Mayweather and when Ngannou fought Tyson. This, man, that was a KO. But did you guys notice how Ngannou, uh, his, his stance? I mean, his arms were kind of wide open. And I remember because I was describing this to someone that was keep together to figure out how to get it. And I was saying, I didn't like Ngannou. Something was off. And I said, right up the middle. And that's exactly what Joshua was seeing. And it was just perfect. And that first knockout, boom.
yeah,
Ngannou just had one of those W, CF.
yeah,
But I knew I knew he was hurt, but I thought maybe they could try to revive it. But then he did something just absolutely stupid for boxing for the MMA. He switched stances.
yeah.
Why? And that let that right hand come in, and it was just a picture perfect thing. And all I can say is Joshua may really be back.
Yeah,
You know, from where he's been the last couple of years. I mean, he's got to. You know, I know that Fury and Usyk have that rematch, but I think Saudi money can do a lot against that.
right.
Joshua should be right there fighting the winner. I think. And I think that's what the
Ngannou,
people want.
although he had a really bad day at the office, he was in pretty decent spirits at the post-fight press conference, and he had really the line of the century, I believe, when they asked him if he was hurt at all. And he says, "No, I felt no pain. That's how I know I was knocked out." I laughed my ass off.
And wouldn't you guys think that if he stays with boxing, he should fight like a top 20 guy?
Yeah, he should work his way up rather than try to
That's
take
my
out the
take
top
on it.
guys.
I mean, because he's got two, he leapfrogged over a lot of other contenders.
Yep.
All right, now the novelty is over.
It's
Now get to the
disrespectful.
back of the line, work your way up. Right, I agree. You know, when you get caught with a good shot like that, it's like, shit, I'm in the locker room? Yeah. Yeah, just we're still getting ready for the second round. Damn, that was a KO. I mean, yeah. I mean, he was up for a couple of minutes. You know, fortunately they got him up, but he was still sitting on the floor. I mean, he was KTFO'd. Wow.
Yep.
But he says he wants to keep boxing. I don't know, but I would say get back to MMA, win that keep, the professional fighters league belt, and then start at start the way you should.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'll
Take
tell
a
you
break
what
from
else.
it.
Joshua was very magnanimous in his victory. He
Yep.
was very supportive. He was telling Francis, "Don't quit, don't quit boxing. You just came up short." But
Yeah, they were very
he was really
cordial
supportive.
with each other, very respectful, and that's just the way in Ghana
Yeah,
it really is. And Joshua being,
yeah,
British, they tend to be very polite. Unless you get in a bar fight with them.
yeah.
Anyway, so that was about it for the big fights last week. We did have one yesterday, the 13th. We had Radovoj Kalajdzic getting a 10th round knockout in a 10-round fight, proving to 29-3 or 29-2, sorry, with a knockout over Sullivan Barrera, a name I haven't seen in a while. He came in at 22-4, so he takes his fifth loss at light heavyweight. I gotta give the shout out to BoxRec because I just noticed something that it's gonna be a big help for me, especially when you got guys named Karen out there. They now they now have a little symbol next to the Box Pro or Box Amateur tag. They have a little symbol, male or female, to tell you whether it's a it's a female fight or a male fight. It's got to be an addition because I don't think I've ever seen that. But yeah, we know that's a male fight. That happened. Also on the undercard, I don't know about the other ships, but Luke Santa Maria had a bad day on the water. He lost a TKO to Nicholas Flaz at welterweight on the undercard of the Kalajdzic fight. Let's see what else we had on Saturday. We had some big ones. Showing a lot of amateur fights on this. I guess the one that we talked about, the Jesus fight of last week, Jesus Fabian Placencia Carrillo. We got a question mark on that one. We still don't know what happened. Uh, which brings me to a funny story about one of my bets this week. I was betting on all kinds of crazy stuff, and I try to avoid soccer because of all the ties that happen at the last second. It's when you think a team is winning. Friggin'
Uh-huh.
stoppage time just happens to go to just 30 seconds beyond the last goal. It's like, so I'm watching this game, and usually the stoppage time is like 10 minutes after the regulation time, so they add 10 minutes on to the clock, and they just keep playing soccer. So most I think I've ever seen is like 107 minutes for a soccer match. I'm waiting on this one soccer match to end. I end up going to bed. Wake up the next day, check my bet, and I instead of 60 something dollars because the team was winning 3-0, I got fucking 41, and I'm like, what is this shit? So they voided the bet because they canceled the match due to the crowd, and it doesn't explain what the crowd did. But before I went to bed, I noticed it was at like 120 minutes of stoppage time. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, are they waiting for the other team to come back? Yeah, it's just one of those weird things that happens. Apparently, if they have to reschedule or cancel an event like that Buffalo Bills versus Cincinnati Bengals match when
Yeah, Lamar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin, they'll avoid the bet. But I won the rest. Got a little bit of money. Anyway, overseas, the Rat fight of the week. Alex Rat lost by retirement. He got stopped in the fourth round. Danny Quartermain stays undefeated, 11-0. Alex Rat falls to 17-7-2. That was a featherweight fight. And we got Derek Miller Jr. staying undefeated in an 8-round fight for the WBC Silver Cruiserweight title. Stays undefeated, moves to 16-0. He beat Adrian Taylor, falls to 13-3-1 at Cruiserweight. That's a bunch of amateurs. And we got into Friday. What do we have Friday? Oh, in Chihuahua, we had Miguel Roman. So over 100 fights between these two guys. Miguel Roman won a unanimous decision. He got his 68th win to go with 14 losses, and he got the win over Takuya Watanabe, who takes his 13th loss to go with 40 wins in just 2 draws over that span. So good stuff there. We got a lot coming up this weekend. Oh, here's the Vargas card. That was Friday, actually, technically, for Anthony Joshua, I guess, because it was in Riyadh. But Zalil Yang, yeah, lost to Joseph Parker. Also on that card, we had somebody's always got to go fight. Ended up in a TKO in the 5th round. Guy who was 9-0-1 beat a guy who was 25-0 for the WBA World Super Welterweight title. And the guy's name was Magomed. You never hear of that. Losing. Magomed. From one of the stands, I'm sure. Magomed Kurbanov. Beaten by Israel Madrimov. Good stuff. And then the WBO Global Heavyweight title. I know everybody's waiting to hear what happened there. Ended up going to Justice Hooney. And he just has an 8-0 record, but he beat a guy who was 30-2 at heavyweight to get that little title. And then Mark Chamberlain improves to 15-0 on that same card with a 4th-round knockout over Gavin Gwynn, who came in at 17-2-1 for the WBA Intercontinental Lightweight title, which was vacant. And of course, Anthony Joshua made Francis Ngannou 0-2. He improves to 28-3, of course, of his fabulous career. And that's about it, except for upcoming matchups. Tomorrow night we have an interesting one, actually, worth mentioning. Where is it? Yeah, on UFC Fight Pass, we've got kind of a guy with a little weird first name, Fear Gal, Fear Gal McCrory, 15-0, fighting Carlos Carlson, 25-7. For the WBA Intercontinental Super Featherweight title. That's a 10-rounder. And then Callum Walsh, undefeated at 9-0, fighting Darren Yelosinov, who is 11-3-1, and that's for the WBC Continental America's Super Welterweight title. We got a bunch of one-fight standouts on little cards. And we go over to across the pond. We've got a decent card here in Birmingham. Liam Davies at Super Bantamweight, undefeated at 15-0, fighting Eric Robles Ayala, 15-1. That's for the IBO World Super Bantamweight title. And Nathan Haney, number 19 at middleweight, 18-0, fighting Brad Pauls, who's 18-1. That's at middleweight for the BBBFC British middleweight title. And then Pierce O'Leary, 13-0, fighting Hovanes Martirosyan, who's 16-0. I wonder if he's related to the Martirosyan who tried out for the Rocky part of Ivan Drago's son.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's not a popular name. I don't see it a lot, but that's for the WBC International Super Lightweight title. And then Dennis McCann, undefeated at 14-0-1, going up against Brad Strand, who's 11-0 at Super Bantamweight. That's for a couple local titles. And let's see, another undefeated matchup between two fighters. Ethan James, 12-0 against Owen Cooper, 9-0 at welterweight for a two little title. And Joe Joyce, 15-2, fighting Ali, not Muhammad, but Cash with a K, Cash Ali, 21-2 at heavyweight. Joe Joyce.
Interested in how they're going to come back from those two pretty big beatings. So
Yeah,
for the team now becoming the possible.
right. And we got some fights at my favorite place to watch fighting in Vegas, the Cosmopolitan. It's now like a second-class casino now that Fontainebleau casino went up. But when I was out there, they were still building the Fontainebleau, and it was like they sunk so much money into that casino already, and it changed hands, I think, 2 or 3 times. and they finally got it finished and started doing commercials on it. But the Cosmopolitan used to be the Fontainebleau as far as newest casino in town, and I imagine it's still pretty nice. I think it just sold a couple years ago for the first time, bought by a new owner. But it's one of my favorite casinos out there. It has some really good parking set up underneath it. And I used to go and park there and go to other casinos. It was just so easy, right in the middle of the strip. And it's a good location. I don't even know where the Fontainebleau is, but it was all under construction when I was there in 2012. But it just shows you how long things take in Vegas sometimes. Anyway, it's on the zone from the Cosmopolitan, same ballroom where they've always had it. And the biggest fight they've got on here listed is a 12-rounder, William Zepeda Segura, undefeated, looking for win number 30. He is number 7 at lightweight, fighting Maxie Hughes, who's number 13. He's 26, 6 and 2. And we got our Floyd fight of the week, Floyd Schofield. He's 16 and 0, fighting Estuary Suero, who's 13 and 1 at lightweight. And I don't know if we're gonna have a Jesus fight of the week, but we got a priest. We got a priest in the building. Maybe he could find the Jesus fight of the week. Eric Priest. He's 12 and 0, fighting Jose instead of Jesus, because priest can't fight Jesus. Jose Sanchez Charles, 21, 4 and 1 at middleweight. All right, I mean, page 2 of the results or the schedule. We got a good one in Ireland this weekend. Heavyweight. Dylan White, Dillian, 29 and 3, fighting Christian Hammer, 27 and 10. He was pretty formidable a few years ago, but he seems to be stringing together some losses here and there. Hammer. The hammer is broken. He is 27 and 10 with 4 of those coming in his last 6. Those losses. Another guy I've actually seen live myself over here in Dorchester, Massachusetts, where I grew up. It was literally like a block from where I used to live. Saw him fight at the Dorchester Armory. Gary Spike O'Sullivan. He has 31 and 5, and he's fighting Sophie Ann Cotti, who's 14 and 4. And with a name like O'Sullivan, you'd think Cotti is almost guaranteed to hit the champion or take the loss in this one. That's kind of a little bit of a mismatch on paper anyway, but Irish eyes will not be smiling if O'Sullivan loses. Okay. And we got one on Monday in Japan for WBO Asia Pacific Super Welterweight title. Wade Ryan. He's very Asian. 22 and 11, fighting Takeshi Inoue, who is 22 and 2. 20 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. That's the biggest fight on that card. Let's see. What's that? Till next week. It always helps too when you have that little symbol next to the fight when you have guys who are named Ashley. I used to have to wrestle a guy named Ashley every day on the mats, and he put me in the hospital one day. He was our best wrestler. If it wasn't for a hip issue he had, he would have won states every fucking year. And he put me in a pretzel, and I ended up in the hospital. And then, to make matters worse, he pulled out of a fight because he had hip issues, and they put me out there against a 3-time state champion, and that was the only other time I ever went to the hospital for wrestling. Guy got me in, before it was even popular, like a triangle choke of some sorts. He wrapped his legs around my head and just kept cranking and cranking and cranking. It was like a combination between a triangle choke and a neck crank. And I lost feeling in the side of my neck for like a week and a half. They did all kinds of tests. They didn't find any damage, but I still didn't have any feeling. It was all numb, the whole side of my neck for a week. And then it finally came back. That was my first education in MMA on the wrestling mat. It was not fun. So anyway, that's your schedule. And let's see, we got
Yeah.
UFC main event heavyweight fight to talk about. UFC Fight Night 239 again from Vegas. Sometimes I don't understand, like why doesn't the UFC do more events in bigger arenas? Why do they keep doing these things at the UFC Apex, which they can't be making much in ticket sales for? I just don't get it.
These are like second and third tier. I like the league.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. All right. Well, we got some veterans on this card. One of them in the main event, Marcin Tybura. He is 24-8. He's got a pretty decent record and always comes to fight. Very durable. This one's not that hard for me to predict. Automatically, when I look at it, I say Tybura wins this one. Not just because of the experience, but talk about well-rounded. 9 knockouts, 6 submissions, and 9 decisions. He did lose a couple fights over the last couple years, but at one point he had just a murderer's row that he beat by either decision or knockout. Yeah, let's see. Walt Harris ended it. That was the last one before Alexander Volkov took him out by unanimous decision. But Walt Harris he TKO'd in the first round. Before that, I mean, he wasn't really a murderer's row guy, but he's the exception. Greg Hardy TKO'd in the second round. Ben Rothwell, Big Ben, took him out by unanimous decision. Maxime Grishin, who is a very fearsome guy, and then Sergey Spivak before that. All 3 unanimous decisions: Rothwell, Grishin, and Spivak. So he was on a roll. Alexander Volkov derailed him for a minute. Then he put 2 other wins together. A couple good decisions against Blagoy Ivanov, who is kind of a chubby guy, but he comes to fight and he almost always goes to decision. So that was kind of expected. And then before that, Alexander Romanov went down by majority decision. And then the only other guy he's lost to in recent years is Tom Aspinall, who, as we know, is very capable of the first round knockout, and that's what happened there. But Tai Tuivasa has had a rough stretch. Rough stretch. 3 in a row. Volkov, Pavlovich, and Gagne, all losses. 2 of them KOs, one of them a submission. Um, Last guy he beat was Derek Lewis in the second round, and it wasn't primetime current Derek Lewis. It was like lost all motivation Derek Lewis. He looked bad that night. He also beat Greg Carty a little quicker if you want to do common opponent math, but I don't really think that matters here. Had an easy win over Harry Hunsucker, who pretty much loses every time he steps into the octagon. And he did knock out Stefan Struve in the last second of the first round in their 2020 fight, but he hasn't had a win in 2 years. Because his last win was February 12th, 2022. So I find it hard for Tui to work his way back into the win column against a guy like Tybura. He's just only lost to the best of the best. And if you want to do common opponent match, you can also subtract a point from Tui Tuivasa because he lost to Blagoy even by unanimous decision back in 2019. So it is what it is. But yeah, and also Tybura went the distance with Volkov, and Tui got submitted by him. So that's 2 strikes. I'm going to go Tybura by knockout or decision. I mean, that's what he does. That's his bread and butter. So that's a pretty safe bet for me,
yeah, he beats the good ones. He comes up short against top tier. So I guess that's gatekeeping.
basically.
We'll see how it goes.
And then this is a tough one. Brian Battle, youth versus experience a little bit here, even though they both got almost identical records. Brian Battle is kind of new to the UFC scene. He's got quite a bit of fights. He's put together just in a year of action. Um, February 2022 to September 2023, he's had 6 fights. Only lost one of them to Fakradinov. unanimous decision loss in 2022, December. He's beaten Takashi Sato, Trayshawn Gore, AJ Fletcher, and Gabriel Green. That's his new opponent. It's a pretty big step up. He's got 10 knockouts, or he's got 5 wins, or 10 wins, 5 knockouts, 1 submission, and 4 decisions. And he's got wins over AJ Fletcher, too, and Reese McKee. He's only got 3 UFC fights. Most of his fights come in the feeder leagues, and he's got a loss in the contender series to Jack Della Maddalena. Uh, so I don't know. I think Brian Battle continues to shock people. I think he wins this one. He gets it done. He just finds ways. He's 10-2. One loss very early in his career, and one loss against Fakhretdinov, who, if we look at his record, 21-1. No cheap date, no slouch. And his only loss came in his his very early career in his second fight of his entire career. Um, he closest he's come to a loss since then is his last fight. He had a draw against Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. So I'm going to guess that Brian Battle lives up to his name and battles his way to a win. But Lusa is capable, perfectly capable. Probably knockout over. Yeah, you're gonna let it Lusa and fight Brian Battle. We had a kid named Battle at the Air Force Academy. And I always remember him because he went through the worst hazing I'd ever seen in person. Um, and it wasn't like anything like designed to be that bad. It was just supposed to be like a lesson for all of us. Like it was over the stupidest thing. So when you're doing rifle training in the military, you got to wear a hat when you carry your rifle, whether you're indoors or not. So usually you take your hat off when you go indoors, but if you have a rifle with you, you're going to wear your hat as long as you're carrying your rifle. So this kid happened to be named Bone, and they love to yell out his name. Our upperclassman cadre, they called him. Whenever he got in trouble or did something, like they'd just be like, and they'd start screaming at him. And so this kid was roomies with a kid named Battle. And Bone goes back to his room, puts his rifle away, and then he's walking around the hallway and he forgot to take his hat off. And so one of the upperclassmen stops him, starts lighting into him as usual, and the first excuse he has is, oh, well, everybody else was doing it, and my roommate didn't do it, so I just kind of forgot. So they call that, uh, basically throwing your rook buddy under the bus, or what? Not a rook buddy. They're throwing your classmate. That's what they called us, classmates. There it was rook buddies at Norwich, but at Air Force Academy it was classmate, and they said don't throw your classmate under the bus. That's the worst thing you can do, and to teach us a lesson on that, they acted like this kid was all of a sudden an upperclassman, and they dragged a mattress out into the hallway, and they put all kinds of upperclassman stuff on him, like they gave him a beret, fucking special forces beret that somebody had. And they just made him sit on the mattress as we were all lined up against the wall watching. And then they took his roommate and they put like a 30-pound rucksack on him, a helmet, and gave him a gun and had him wearing the hat. And so they fucking PT'd the shit out of him, made him run in place, do push ups, sit ups, until they put a set of keys in his hands and he couldn't even hold them up straight in front of his face. So, and then his roommate just has to watch that fucking threw him under the bus. But I got physically upset to the point they were asking me if I agreed with it, and I basically told them no. I don't think it's necessary. Like I think we get the point. Uh, but like I didn't get to the point of insubordination, but they could tell I was rip shit. I did not approve of that. That's just some of the thing they do to condition you to always have your buddy's back. You never want to do anything to hurt your battle buddy. But yeah, Battle got hurt that day. He was hurting for a week, I think, after that one. It's kind of stupid. It's like, when people take leadership to their head, they do shit like that. It's just totally unnecessary. I mean, they did it to an extent at Norwich too, in a little bit more funny way. Like instead of PTing one dude who was his roommate, um, they took a kid that was always getting in trouble in our company, and they gave him an upperclassman hat, and they sat him on the trash barrel in the middle of the hallway, and we all PT'd around him. And I think that was a better example of how to do that because I mean we all paid for his mistake, and we all came to him and was like, you got to straighten out and try to help him because of it. That's the design of something like that. But to do it with one person and have us all watching and like not being able to do anything about it, it was kind of a rough thing to me because that's just like almost like bullying these days. It's got to have a bad effect on both people that it happens to. But anyway, that's my tangent story of the night. Battle. All right. Then we got OSP, Ovens St. Pro. He is 26-17. Veteran of the sport. I got to click on him to see when's the last time he fought. I don't think it's been recently. And he's fighting a guy, Kennedy Nchukwu. He's had a little bit of an up and down career. Won some, lost some. St. Preux, though, he is getting up there. Let's see, he's got 12 knockouts, 8 submissions, 6 decision wins. But he also has 5 knockout losses, 3 submission losses, and 9 decision losses, and also 3 of his last 4 were knockout losses. So that should tell you something. Last guy he beat, 2022, was Mauricio Hua. Last guy he fought was Philippe Lins, who just fought last weekend. And that was a first round knockout in just 49 seconds. And Chukwu can knock you out. Chukwu can definitely knock you out. He has very good power. Started off pretty well with that in the UFC. He's got a few knockouts since he got through the Contender Series with a knockout. Um, so 8 of his 12 wins are by knockout, 3 by decision. That's an easy knockout or decision bet for him. The other one, to go the distance, would possibly be a good bet, but I just don't think St. Preux still has anything left. And Chukwu's last loss was to Dustin Jacoby. He's a little bit younger, a little bit fresher, but he had 4 wins almost lined up, 3 wins strung together there before that, 2 TKOs and 1 submission, which is also possible. Maybe Kennedy by TKO or submission. That's his lone submission of his entire career. Was that last one against Devin Clark in May of 2023. Yeah, he's lost to some pretty good names. Paul Craig, Dawoon Young, he got knocked out in the first round, and then Nikolai Negamariano lost by split decision. And Dustin Jacoby's a pretty tough guy. I don't know. We'll just have to see which Oven St. Preux comes out for the fight. If he loses, it's usually by knockout. So I think that's a safe bet, knockout or decision. And that one is also lost to Ben Rothwell. Ovens. It's been around a long time. Okay. Next one we got Christian Rodriguez against Isaac Dalgarian. Don't really know much about either guy, but I do know both of them are undefeated. Rodriguez has 1 loss, I should say. 10-1 at featherweight. Dalgarian is 6-0. Then Pani Kianzad at bantamweight. She's 16-7, fighting Macy Chiasson, 8-3. She has Chiasson. I have to say has some of the best biceps I've ever seen on an MMA fighter. Female MMA fighter. She is very muscular. But Keon's out. Obviously, has a lot of experience, but she does have 7 losses. So I don't know. I don't know if Chase Song's ready for that kind of experience or how she's going to do. She's kind of back and forth in her career. And talk about back and forth. These guys have become quite the journeymen themselves. These two in the 8th fight in the middle of the card. Gerald Meerschaert, he is 35-17, fighting Brian Barberina, who is 18-11. And both of them have fought some really tough guys. But Meerschaert has lost 2 of his last 3, 3 of his last 4. The only guys beat recently is Bruno Silva by guillotine choke. That was in August of 2022. But he's definitely capable of submissions and knockouts. Very tough guy. Barberena. He usually loses by decision if he loses, and he's lost 3 in a row. Very tough guys, though. Got neck cranked by Dos Anjos, armbarred by Gunnar Nelson. Let's see. But doesn't get TKO'd much. Randy Brown was the last guy to TKO him. Before that, Vincent Luque. Leon Edwards, he went to decision with him back in the day, 2017. And also Colby Covington lost to him by unanimous decision. So he's got a lot of UFC experience, but I think he's kind of lost his mojo. So I'm going to go Meerschaert by knockout or submission on that one. I just think Meerschaert's slick enough to get it done. We'll see. And then Nathan Levy, 8-1 at lightweight, fighting Mike Davis, 10-2. 6th fight of the night, Josiane Nunes, 10-1 at bantamweight, fighting Chelsea Chandler, who's 5-2. And I think I needed the symbol on that one because even with the picture, I couldn't tell Josiane wasn't a guy. She got the crew cut. She got wiffle almost. So she looks like a guy in her Sherdog picture. Well, we'll see how that one ends up. But it looks like Nunes has way better record. I don't know how many UFC fights she has. Jafel Filo, 15-3 at flyweight, fighting Ode Osborne, 12-6. I'll never forget Ode because I didn't bet on him in his first fight and he won. So we'll see how that goes. Tiago Moises, 17-7 at lightweight, fighting Mitch Ramirez, 8-1 in the 4th fight of the night. And Josh Kulibaya, 11-2 at featherweight, fighting Danny Silva, who's 8-1. 2nd fight of the night, a female strawweight fight. Jacqueline Amarim versus Corey McKenna. Amarim 7-1, McKenna 8-2. So that's a good one on paper. And first fight of the night, Charles Lampos Gregorio fighting Chad Oneliger. Gregorio is 8-3, Oneliger 12-7. I believe that's it. I want to check the alerts, see if I missed any breaking news. Josh Taylor injured. Rematch versus Jack Catterall now May 25th. That's news. Let's see. Yeah, that fight's set. Okay, we already knew about that. Yeah, for MMA. Francis Ngannou says he is not done with boxing after Anthony Joshua knockout. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal are having a rematch, but not the kind of rematch you think it's going to be in the boxing ring. We'll have to see what that's all about. So, yeah, today's matter. So that's June 1st, a pay-per-view boxing match between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, it's probably not going to go anywhere to solve the MMA versus boxing debate. Two MMA fighters fighting in boxing. But yeah, boxing is a step up now, Tony. They won the battle in the war last week. All right, let's see what else. Yeah, it's all over the place. Oh, Mark Coleman, former guest of ours. Unfortunately, he's in the hospital. But a very heroic act put him there. He saved his parents from a house fire in the home he grew up in.
And they did say he is communicating now. I just read that a few hours ago.
Yeah, and he already had made a miraculous comeback from a lot of medical issues a few years ago. They were actually raising money for his medical care, and now this happened. So tough news for his family. And pictures went around of him, all hooked up to the ventilator and stuff. But yeah, hopefully he turns it around. It's the biggest fight of his life for sure. That was tough to see, especially having talked to him and gotten such a great interview out of him years ago. We got to circulate that again. I got to find it. Not just because he's in the news, but just because you never know what can happen. There could be crazy complications. They could give him too much medication one day and he could be gone. I don't want to ever wish that on anybody or think about that happening to anybody, but, I've seen it happen in the hospital to my own relatives, so I don't fucking trust him as far as I can throw him. But yeah, Mark Coleman is still coaching. He's still very involved in the MMA community, so that would be a tough loss. And he's just such a legendary figure in the sport of MMA. He's just worked with everybody. So more power to his recovery. We're praying for him. See what else we got? John McCarthy appalled by Mike Tyson boxing Jake Paul. Says it drives me crazy. Big John. So apparently he's probably waiting for Mike Tyson to win that one. Somebody actually said, made a very good point. I think I might have mentioned this last week when we got to talking about it, but what a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul, if you really think about it. If he wins, they could always say you beat up a fucking 70-year-old guy. Well, whoop-de-doo. Yeah, no. And if he loses, you got beat by a 57-year-old man. So I don't know. It's really kind of bad either way. You beat up a guy who's in AARP and you're not even out of college. Out of college range. Yeah, yeah. Crazy. All right, so that's about it for all our updates and events. Um, there are going to be some bare knuckle fights this weekend. Perry and Alves, Terrell versus Hunt, Roswell versus Duffy. Keep seeing the posts of another former guest of ours who does the commentary there with his Mountain Dew bottle. Trusty Mountain Dew bottle. Sean Wheelock. What a great interview. Yeah, we got to get back to get some people on the show. Anyway, that's all we have. Thanks for stopping by. Good stuff. Hopefully, I'll bet wiser this weekend and think about these fights.
Since we have some pictures from Florida.
Nice.
Yes, sure, buddy. Look forward to it. All right, I'm gonna enjoy the fight.
Oof, nice. All right, take it easy. Thanks for stopping by.